So this is what we're going to make in this video. It's a super basic surface driven part. So I'm going to show you guys how to create the geometry, make the toolpath, post-process it. So let's get started. I'm going to close out this and make a new file. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is draw a rectangle from the center and make that 3 by 3. Okay, and then draw another rectangle and make this one 2.33 by 2.33. Alright, then we can put some fillets on that. Let's make those 350 thousandths. Alright, now let's go isometric. And now we're going to move this chain here down -0.5 inches. So hold down shift, select the chain, then we're going to do translate -0.5 and hit apply. Alright, I'm going to clear the colors. Okay, so now we can start making some surfaces. We got basic geometry. So we could make the draft first. So let's go to create, and then go to surface, and go down to draft. We're going to chain this lower chain down here, hold down shift, hit OK. And now we want this to be a 1/2 inch long, and we want it to be an angle of -20, so it kind of flares outwards. And I'm going to hit the check. So there's our surface. So now I'm going to use this to create a boundary on the top here. So I'm going to go to create, silhouette boundary, and I'm going to select all these surfaces. And by the way, if you want to see this, you can press Alt S and that'll turn on the shading. Alright, so I got them all selected in my selection. And I'm going to leave all that stuff the same, tessellation filter. I'm going to hit the check, and now I have geometry on the top plane that's usable, so I can use this guy right here. Okay, so I'm going to hold down shift and delete this extra one. Okay. So now I'm going to make a surface on the top and on the bottom. So go to create and go to surface, and we're going to do a net. And we're going to select this outside boundary. Alright. And hit the check. And we got a solid surface here now. So while I still got that surface, I'm going to take that and move and copy it down. So I'm going to select, translate, and select the surface. And now I'm going to move that down -0.5. I'm going to copy it. So I have 2 of them now. I'm going to hit apply. Okay, so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn shading off, so Alt S. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim away these flat surfaces. So we're going to go create, surface, and I'm going to go to trim, and we're going to trim 2 curves. So I'm going to select the surfaces I want to trim, so this guy, in selection, and I'm going to chain the curve I want to trim to, so it's this one we created on the outside. Alright, I'm going to hit OK, and now it's going to say indicate area to keep, so I'm going to keep the outside here, and I got to put this little arrow somewhere on the outside, so right here in this corner is fine. And now the inside of that's trimmed away. So if I turn shading back on, you can see with the different colors there that I got a surface here I got surface here, and I got surface down here. So now I gotta do the same thing on the bottom. Gotta trim away this pink. So I'm gonna turn the shading back off. And now I'm gonna go to create, surface, trim, and two curves again. So I'm gonna do this bottom surface here. And then I'm gonna chain this bottom curve, the one we created the original draft from. And now I want to keep the inside this time. Now I gotta put a little arrow somewhere on the inside. So there it is, and now I'm all trimmed up. So now we have the basic shape here. All we gotta do is add the ball. So a really easy way to do that. You can do this with a point or a circle. I think a circle is a little easier. So I'm just gonna grab a circle. I'm just gonna draw one of arbitrary size. And then I'm going to move it down a ½ inch, so translate. Grab the circle. I'm going to move that -0.5. And I'm going to move it. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the right plane. Well, I can dynamically rotate this so I can see. So what I want to do is I want to draw a circle in this. So right at the center point, and I want to make this circle 0.75. Okay, so let me rotate this around so you can see what I did there. So I actually drew a circle on the front or the right plane, doesn't really matter. And that's what I'm gonna do with that is I'm gonna revolve this to make my little ball in there. So I'm just gonna grab a line, draw that down to there, draw another line to there, and I can trim it away. Okay, and I can delete this, basically a construction circle. So I got this right here, this one quadrant, and it really doesn't matter what plane you're on right now. I'm on the right. So I'm going to use this to revolve around. So I'm going to go create, surface, and I'm going to do a revolved surface. So this is the profile I want to chain. I'm going to hit the check, and now I have to select an axis, so this is that. And there you can see the preview, 360 degree, and we want the full rotation, so we got our little half circle. Hit apply. So there we go. So now I got this little surface in here. I can trim that away pretty easy, or I can just delete it. So, and I can delete my original geometry that I used to create it. Whoop. Not that. Alright, there we go. So now when I turn the shading, I'm going to go to top view again. Isometric. So now when I turn on the shading, we have the ball, the bottom floor, the walls, and the top surface. And these are all on the same level right now. If you want to put them on different levels, that's fine. So now we're just going to add in the fillets. Pretty easy. We're going to go to create, surface, and fillet. And we're going to do this 2 surfaces. So you can go ahead and try to put these fillets on, but you might run into some problems with normals. So what we want to do is set our normals first. So go to edit and go to set normal. And we want to select all these wall surfaces. Alright. And now you can see all of the arrows are pointing in. That's what we want. We just want them all one consistent direction. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to do the same thing to the top surface. Now you can see this arrow is going up. We want them all going pretty much the same way. So I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to do the same thing with the floor. Alright, so that arrow went up. So we're all good. So I should be able to make these now. Surface, fillet, 2 surfaces. So what the first fillet we'll make will be along the bottom. So select all these walls. Alright, in selection. Now select the other surface, which is the bottom, in selection. And now we're going to choose the size to put on here. And you can actually do an auto preview so you can see what it's going to look like. So if it shows up, you got your normals set correctly and it's going to work. And you can tell it to trim, which we do want to do. Or you can tell it to join. So we're just going to leave that unchecked. So that bottom fillet, we want that to be 350 thousandths. And if you hit enter, you'll see the preview of it. I'm going to hit apply. And we'll do the floor and the ball next. So click the floor, in selection, ball, in selection, auto preview. So there's our fillet we're going to make. And we want to make that, I don't know, 200 thousandths. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to hit apply so we can keep filling. And now I'm going to fill this top surface here. So click that one in selection and click around these edges here. Alright, in selection. So it says no fillets found. So either a fillet too large, we got some other problem. Let's try that. Maybe need to flip in normal. So I'm going to try to click this top surface here. And I can flip it downward. Let's see if that does it. I'm going to press enter. So I still don't have any fillets found. Let's see, maybe if I flip these normals. Let's try that. Alright, there I got my fillet now. So I just had to flip the normals on this. That's why you have to set them first. Alright, so, and we can make this one a little bigger. Let's go with 0.15. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright, hit the check. So our geometry is now created. So you can delete all this extra junk that you don't need. And now I'm going to show you guys how to make the toolpaths. Okay, so I'm going to go up to machine type, mill. I'm going to choose the generic cost post. And first thing I'm going to do is set up the stock. So stock setup, bounding box, defines it, hit the check. We're going to give this a height of 2 inches. And we want to display it to make sure that's clicked, fit screen, wireframe, sure. Hit the check. Alright, so that looks good. So now tool settings, we want to override all this stuff. And you can edit anything else you need to in here, set your material, whatever you need to do. So what we're going to do is first rough out this area here. So to do that, instead of using the 2D toolpaths, we're actually going to use a surface-driven toolpath. So it works a little bit differently because it uses the actual surface to generate the G-code from. So go to toolpaths, surface rough, and there's a lot to choose from here. So we could use multiple of these to do this. There's your finishing paths, and then here's your high speed. So these are the quickest. These are like your bread and butter. So what we're going to do is opt the area. So what that's going to do is rough out that inside pocket there. So it's saying select drive services. So we can go through and select all these individually, but we want everything machined in this case. So I'm just going to do Control A and select everything. So I got 28 drive services, so that's good. I hit OK. And then here's your options. So for my tool, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch ball end mill. So I'm going to turn this on to equal to 1/4. There we go. Cut parameters, step over, since this is going to be wax, and do pretty large, 65%, and a step down of 15. Stock to leave on walls, I'm going to leave 10 thousandths, and same with the floors. My back feed rate can be 300. So I'm not going to mess with any of this. I'll leave this all the same and just hit apply, and we'll check, and we'll let this generate the toolpath. Alright, so the toolpath's generated. Only took a few seconds. So now I'm going to verify it. I'll turn the speed down a little bit. So it's pretty efficient. Alright, so here's what we're left with. This rough surface. We got a lot of scalloping in there. So we want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to minimize that. So our next operation is going to be a finishing. And that's going to clean this up so it's nice and smooth. So toolpaths, surface finish, and we're going to do a parallel. So this is going to run the tool back and forth parallel across the part to give it a nice even scalloped finish. And I'm going to select all again, so Control A and selection. So I got the same 28 drive services, hit OK. So we're going to use that same 1/4 inch ball mill. Can leave all this the same. We're going to leave 1/1000th. And our max step over is going to be 50 thousandths. And we're cutting with a zigzag. So you can choose a start point if you want. I'm just going to see where it starts. So I'm going to hit OK. Alright, so there's what our toolpath looks like. So let's verify this. Alright, so there it is. So now we got this surface finish. You can see there's even scallops. So to clean this up even more, we can do a different toolpath. We could do a parallel lace again, come in and get a different angle so it's more crosshatch. But I think in this case, since it's a pretty symmetrical part radially, we can do a radial. So minimize that. I'm going to go Toolpaths, Surface Finish, and I'm going to do Radial. So drive surfaces again, I'm going to select everything. So Control All, in selection. So we got the same surfaces, hit the check. And I'm going to leave all this the same, but I'm going to change this tolerance to 5/10,000ths. We'll make it 7. And hit OK. So it says select a radial point, so I'm going to go top view, and I'm going to select the origin. So the toolpath is going to be generated radially around the origin. Alright, so there it is. Looks pretty good. So the ball's going to be nice and cleaned up. The edges will have a little bit larger gap in there. So let's check this out. Alright, so now you can see the surface finish is pretty good on this part. So there you go. We can go back in here now and put some real spindle speeds on here. Alright, so now I'm going to go to back plot and I'm going to see how long this takes. So this is only going to take 15 minutes or so to cut this part. But it is wax, so if it was something like aluminum, it'd be a lot slower. So I'm going to hit OK. So make sure you save your part. And this one is called Surface Example 1. So alright, there you go.